What's really going on behind the scenes in the UFC right now? You might think you know the story: big fights, big paydays, knockouts, and stars rising to fame. But a deeper, darker storm is brewing, one that touches fighter pay, shady betting patterns, crossover boxing drama, and the very integrity of a sport millions of people tune in to every weekend. In today's video, we're diving into how a bizarre offer to Francis Ngannou, whispers of corruption, and a champion's emotional breakdown all connect, and why this might be the biggest crisis the UFC has faced in years. Stay with me, because what you're about to hear isn't the headline, it's what's behind the headline. And it all started with one strange conversation that nobody took seriously. Imagine this: Jake Paul's team reaches out to Francis Ngannou with an offer to replace someone in a boxing match. At first it sounds like another social media stunt, but this time it wasn't just an empty headline. Ngannou, the former UFC heavyweight champion, one of the most feared strikers in the sport, suddenly found himself being approached like a side act in someone else's show. The offer was for him to step in and replace Gervonta Davis, a lightweight boxer. Ngannou's reaction? Complete disbelief. He said, "How can they go from Gervonta Davis to me? It makes no sense." And he wasn't joking. The idea of switching from a 13.5-pound boxer to a 260-pound powerhouse wasn't just unrealistic, it was flat out insulting. When they sent over numbers, Ngannou didn't even flinch. "It's not about the money," he said. "I'm not interested." For him, it wasn't about paychecks or publicity, it was about respect. That offer, bizarre as it sounded, revealed a bigger truth about combat sports today. Fighters like Jake Paul have built empires off entertainment, spectacle, and views. But fighters like Ngannou built their names through blood, sweat, and pain. To him, being treated like a replacement act was a slap in the face. And that tension between the entertainment side of fighting and the athletic side would soon spill over into something much darker. Ngannou's refusal was just the spark. The fire was still coming. Soon after, the fight world was hit by something far more serious, a betting scandal that rocked the UFC. It started when fighter Isaac Dalgarian made a statement that instantly went viral. He said, "If people profit off fighters, then fighters should get a percentage of those bets. We're the ones risking our lives, doing the work, it's only fair." On paper, that sounded reasonable, but just days later, his fight became the center of one of the strangest betting controversies in UFC history. Right before the fight, the odds swung like crazy. Huge bets poured in on the underdog to win by finish. And then, that's exactly what happened. Dalgarian lost fast, so fast it barely looked real. Within hours, sportsbooks like Caesars and DraftKings started issuing refunds, something they almost never do. Fans started connecting dots. Was it coincidence? Was it rigged? Was Dalgarian involved? Or just caught in a larger scheme? It didn't take long before whispers started spreading about federal regulators looking into over 100 flagged fights this year for suspicious patterns. And then a familiar name surfaced: referee Jason Herzog, one of the sport's most respected officials. No proof, no accusations, but the fact that his name was even floating around made people nervous. It all felt eerily similar to the James Krause betting scandal from 2022, where insider information led to lifetime bans and a federal investigation. Once again, the UFC found itself under the microscope, and this time the cracks seemed even deeper. Because when fighters aren't paid fairly, temptation grows. And when money starts moving in the shadows, the line between competition and corruption starts to blur. And that's when Dana White had to step in. The UFC's president, Dana White, finally addressed the chaos, but not the way people expected. Instead of apologizing or promising reform, he laughed off any talk of retirement or burnout. Dana said that even when he goes on vacation, after about 10 days, he gets bored. He misses the grind. He said, "I could have retired a long time ago, but what would I do? Sit on a beach and drink all day? That sounds like hell to me." For him, the UFC isn't a job, it's his purpose, and that's exactly what worries some people. Because when one man runs the empire, the marketing, the deals, the matchmaking, the brand, what happens when that man refuses to slow down? Sure, it's passion, but it's also power, and power in one man's hands can make accountability disappear. Love him or hate him, Dana White built the modern UFC, but he also built a machine that sometimes feels too big to control. And while he was busy keeping that machine alive, one of his brightest stars was quietly breaking down behind the scenes. In the middle of all this chaos, fans noticed something unexpected. UFC champion Ilia Topuria posted a handwritten note on Instagram that said, "My problem was I wanted to take people with me to the top who didn't even want to see me at the top." Alongside it, he quoted another line, "Those who have the ability to be grateful are the ones who have the ability to achieve greatness." The post exploded online. Fans started speculating, was it about his team, friends, family, or the pressure of fame itself? No one knew for sure, but the timing felt strange. Topuria was at his peak, a world champion, global star, adored by fans. Yet behind the glory, that note showed pain, isolation, and maybe even betrayal. That's a reminder that even in combat sports, the toughest fighters face battles that have nothing to do with punches or kicks. Topuria's honesty gave fans a glimpse behind the mask, and it sparked empathy across the community. But as the world discussed his emotional message, another fighter was preparing to turn emotion into chaos. Enter Paddy the Batty Pimblett, the walking headline. Known for his loud personality and wild confidence, he decided to throw gas on the fire by calling out Topuria directly. "I'd smash his face in," he said. "People act like he's some unstoppable machine, but I'd bring him right back down to earth." And that's all it took. Within hours, social media lit up with memes, reactions, and debate threads. Could Paddy really take him? Would the UFC make it happen? Meanwhile, Justin Gaethje, another top fighter, said that if he's passed over for a title shot in favor of Paddy, he might just retire. Suddenly, this wasn't just a rivalry, it was a triangle of pride, frustration, and ambition. Topuria wanted respect, Paddy wanted validation, Gaethje wanted fairness. And fans? They wanted blood. It's a perfect storm, one fueled by emotion, ego, and hype. But while these rivalries explode online, one man was living the dream in a completely different way. After so much tension, we shift gears for a lighter story. Alex Pereira, the stone-faced Brazilian champion, was spotted in Italy with his partner Nina Drama. The two seemed to be enjoying some rare downtime, sightseeing, laughing, and soaking in the sunshine. But then Pereira did something that made fans melt. He surprised Nina with a brand new Rolex watch as a thank you for helping him learn English. The video of the moment went viral, partly because it showed a softer side of the usually stoic fighter, and partly because of what happened next. As they walked through the streets of Rome, Pereira shouted his famous Chiamat, his signature war cry, only for the crowd of Italians to stare back in total confusion. Out of the whole crowd, maybe 3 people yelled it back. It was funny, wholesome, and weirdly human, the kind of moment that reminds fans these fighters are more than headlines. They're people living their lives between wars. But back inside the octagon, things were far from peaceful. In the bantamweight division, a new rivalry might be brewing, not out of trash talk, but respect. Sean O'Malley, the flashy striker with rainbow hair, recently gave props to Umar Nurmagomedov, saying, "Skill for skill, Umar might be the best guy in the division." For O'Malley, someone who usually thrives on confidence and bold predictions, that was a rare admission. Fans immediately started talking. What if O'Malley versus Umar actually happens? It's the kind of fight that could redefine the division, pure technique versus precision power, charisma versus calm. The bantamweight division is stacked, but this matchup could be the one that reminds fans what real competition looks like. And it's that hope for real fights, real competition, and real stakes that keeps fans coming back even when the headlines get messy. But as new stars rise, the shadow of corruption and controversy still lingers over the sport. So what connects all of this? Ngannou's rejection of Jake Paul's offer, the betting scandals, Dana's defiance, Topuria's emotional post, Paddy's threats, and the whispers of corruption. They all point to one thing: the fight world is changing and not everyone's ready for it. Respect is being traded for attention, integrity for entertainment, and power for profit. Ngannou said no because he saw through the spectacle. Fighters like Bulgarian want fairness in a system stacked against them. Dana White refuses to retire because the empire depends on him. Topuria's note revealed the loneliness behind fame, and fans, they're caught in the middle wanting to believe in the sport, even when it gives them reasons not to. But maybe this is what evolution looks like: messy, loud, and uncomfortable. Because for all the scandals, betrayals, and bad blood, the UFC still delivers something no other sport can: raw, unpredictable humanity. Fighters who rise, fall, and rebuild themselves in front of millions. So as the headlines keep coming, remember, the real fight isn't always in the cage, sometimes it's behind it. Now I want to hear from you, which story surprised you the most? The betting scandal, Ngannou's refusal, Topuria's message, or maybe Paddy's wild challenge? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, because next time we're diving into the secret story of the fighter who exposed it all. One man, one decision, and one moment that changed how fans see the sport forever. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.